Hello everyone, it's Maria here from Sydney, Australia. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I'm going to have another Heatpress project where I'm going to be testing out the DTF Hack again, but this time I'll be using that with Inkjet Printer ink rather than sublimation ink. I've seen videos where they've used Inkjet Printer with their DTF, and it kind of works out okay, but I want to test this out for myself. And I also want to know if I can sublimate it onto the Siser Easy Weed just like I could with the sublimation ink. Now with the sublimation ink you can actually sort of sublimate onto the Easy Weed when you're using DTF. So I thought that was really cool, and I want to see if I can do that with the Inkjet printer. So what you'll see me next do is go to my computer. I will show you the images that I'm going to be using, and we will go from there. See you soon. Okay, so this is the image I will be using today. This has been mirrored. So basically I'll show you what I mean by mirrored. So I just click on the images here. I've got 4 of them. So I click on that, and then I right click and I go flip horizontally, and that's the way it's supposed to face, but we're going to face it obviously the other way because you have to mirror the image. And what I did here to get this outline here, which I will fill, I'll go to my fill color here to white, is this is basically my what I will be using to cut out the vinyl that I'm going to test on that fabric. So basically what I did to get that image is I went to my trace window, which looks like a little toast. So I go select trace area, and I pick the area that I want to trace and make sure that it's all within that. Then I go to the threshold, go all the way up till all of it is selected, and then I go down here to trace outer edge. And then when I touch that, that gives me then the complete outline of this images here. So that's how I did that, but I won't need that anymore. I'm only going to use 2 of those. I'm going to print 4 at the same time because I'm going to do what I did before, where I will do it on that white piece of fabric, which is 100% cotton. And then I'm also going to be doing this on dark fabric as well, where I will have to use the white vinyl in order for me to sort of sublimate onto that. I am hoping that the DTF Hack with Inkjet Printer will work. So I want to experiment this for myself, and then that way I show you if it works or not to save you the trouble. So in order to print this, I'm going to go up to my file here in my Silhouette Studio, and this is the business edition, just in case you didn't know. And then I'll go to my print, and this will print. I'll press print, but I'm going to use my Epson ET8550 printer. I'm going to put preferences. I'm going to pick the color, and it's not going to be plain paper, but I'm going to use the photo paper glossy, and I will see what happens with that. If it doesn't work, I'm going to let you know. And I will, or I might use just the Epson Glossy, and yeah, and I will let you know how it goes. All right, so I will go now off camera and print this off with my printer. I'm going to press cancel because I'm going to do that in a minute. I'm going to do that off camera, and then I will come back and I will show you on the desk how I'm going to make that go. All right, so I'll see you shortly. Okay, so I've just finished printing off this with my Inkjet printer, and you can see it is quite wet. So what I have to do immediately is I'm going to pour some powder into there. So I've got my DTF hot melt powder there. It's the fine white powder from Redback. I'm using the pet film as well. I'm just putting on some gloves because I will be touching this adhesive powder, and I don't want that on my fingers. That's the pet film. It goes very well through my printer without an issue. I'm using my P2 mask So I'm just going to put that on. It's going to hear my voice a little muffled. And so what I'm going to do now is I've got a container here finally. Is I'm going to apply the hot melt powder over that. So I'm using this container. I better do this quickly before it dries off. I'm just going to pour the powder in there. So I'm just going to now get that on there. And I use the paper glossy, the glossy setting. So the Epsom gloss setting on this, and it worked out very well. Just try not to touch any of this. And it seems like it's fully covered. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to cover this. I'll come back and use that powder again. Is we're going to I'll take you over to the heat press, and we will cure this under the heat press. So I'll see you shortly. So I have my HTVRont heat press preheating, and that's what I'm going to use to cure this. So as you can see, there's a lot of adhesive powder on there, the DTF powder. So I'm just waiting for that to come to temperature. So this time I'm learned from last time to do it at 195 degrees Celsius. I'm going to, I'm just going to pop this off underneath there, and it'll take a few minutes, and when it's done I'm going to come back and show you, and then we'll put the powder on again, and then we'll cure it for a second time before we heat press it. So I'll see you again in a few minutes. I've cured this now for about 10 minutes. Now I'm going to apply the powder again. Let's see. And I'm going to cure it again for about 10 minutes, however long it takes for it to cure. So roughly 10 minutes. I'm just moving the powder along. Wear your gloves and also wear a mask. So I've got another coating of powder. I'm going to take it back to my heat press. I'm going to press it again for a second time. Not press it, I'm going to, cure it for a second time. And then I'm going to press these fabrics and lint roll those as well. So I'll be back soon. So now this is the second time I have cured this. It actually took a lot shorter because it's the second time and the temperature was good, and so now it is fully cured, and as you can see, no funny bits like the last time. Okay, so what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to press these in my heat press now that the temperature's up really high at 195 degrees. Off camera, I also cut out the image using my Siser Easy Weeds, just white plain vinyl, not a special vinyl, just white vinyl. I'm going to heat press these now just for a few seconds to get rid of the moisture. Then I'm going to apply the DTF transfers onto here, and we will go from there. So I'll see you shortly. I'm just going to go to the heat press now and heat press these, and then I'll be back. Alright, so I've just finished heat pressing this at the higher temperature, and what I'm going to do now is lint roll them. Now this is the same fabric I used with the last DTF hack. So this is the part I'm going to use, just this part today. And this will go through a wash test as well. And what I will do with this is I will let it cure for 48 hours before I put these in the wash, just to ensure that I don't have issues. So I heat press this for 10 seconds at 195 degrees just to get rid of the moisture and to iron that out. Make sure it's nice and clean from debris and other things. I think it's this way. Yeah, that's the right way. Or I had it right the first time. No, it's this way. Okay. Make sure I lint roll that. Alright. I'll put that away for now. I'm just going to grab my fabric scissors and some other scissors. We'll cut these apart and we'll put these on here, and I'll get my wedding tool. I'll be back in a second. I just tested the Cricut scissors and they actually work well with the fabric, so I'm going to use that to cut my fabric apart. And this was my experimental fabric, but it is 100% cotton, and so that's what I want to test it on. The DTF on cotton, 100% cotton. So I'm now just cutting up the dark fabric, and I'll cut this apart in a minute, but what I want to do is weed the vinyl, so I'll just weed that. So that's now cut up very well, and that's done. Sorry, I'm all crooked here. Okay, that's better. So that's done. What I am going to do is cut this apart down the middle, and I'm going to stick this onto my fabric here. So it'll go on here, and that will go on there. It's kind of sticky, so that should stay for the transfer. I'm just waiting now for my heat press to come down to 150 degrees, and that's how much I'll be pressing this. This I'll be pressing on for 5 seconds. Then I'll come back and I'll put these on, and this one I press for 10 seconds. So I'm just going to now cut these apart. It'll be interesting to see if it works. So that's going to be one. It's going to be the other one. Put that over here. And I will apply some heat tape because I will be taking them to the heat press, which is not close by here. So it's 5 more degrees to go before it comes down, the temperature. So just wait for it to do that, and then I'll take you over to the heat press, and then I'll show you what I'll be doing. This sort of is moving, so I'm just going to use one piece of tape just to keep it in place. Okay, so I've got a degree to go. So yeah, if you heard that beep, that was my heat press. I'll come back and I'll just take these over to the heat press so you can see the process. To my heat press, it's at 150 degrees Celsius. I'm going to only tack this down for 5 seconds. So putting that in there, and I'll just press that. So I'll count down 5 seconds. When it goes to 5 seconds, I will press this again. And that's peeled nicely. That's just a tack down. So I've come back now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these apart, and I'm going to place them over the top of my image to make sure I really get that over the top. I don't want any white bits. So I think that is pretty perfect. So I'm going to tape that down to make sure it doesn't move. It'll be interesting to see if it sublimates onto the HTV. Now it's this image here. Well, I think I got that first go. That's amazing. Yep, that was good. That's a first for me. Make sure that doesn't go anywhere. And then I'll take you over to the heat press, and we'll press it for 10 seconds, and I shall be back. Okay, so I'm now at the heat press. I'm going to put these both at the same time. because they both need only apparently 10 seconds. So that's at 150 degrees Celsius for 10 seconds. Let's put these underneath. Okay, so these are a cold peel. I'm going to make sure it's cold, not warm. And I'll let them cool down. So I'm going to take them off this heat press. I'll take them over to my desk. So these have now cooled down. So what I'm going to try first is directly onto the cotton. And I'll just let you know if it works, okay? And that did not do well at all. That's come off, so I'm not impressed by the inkjet printer, I've got to admit. This side is a little better, but the results are not consistent. So that did not do well. And it feels like there's just like a plastic film on there with the inkjet. I don't see that doing very well at all. So let's see it on the, this is a cold peel, mind you. So that did not work out well at all with the inkjet. Now let's try it with the, and yeah, similar results. I mean, it did go on, but it's very splotchy. I think that the sublimation ink does better than the inkjet printer. So I'm going to say from now, I think this is a fail. Yep. This one fared a little better than that side. The details aren't very good. I would give this, with the inkjet ink, a fail. So I thought it would be, I'm not going to even bother with the wash test. It's just bad. I wouldn't even bother wasting my time to do this. So I'd say that's a fail. And I'll show you the ones from the with the sublimation ink. Okay, so this is a sublimation ink, and these are the washed ones, and they still fared well, even though there was a dye in there. So that's the sublimation ink versus this. Now, as I said, I didn't cure that properly, but if I had, I think the results would be much smoother, sort of like with this part here. But that didn't turn out very well at all. Not very consistent. This was a little more consistent. So I would give the Inkjet Printer DTF Hack a complete fail. And I would stick with the sublimation ink instead for the DTF Hack. Alright guys, I hope you found this helpful and to save you time from trying it yourselves. And I will see you again with another project next time. Bye for now.